Suppose you want to generate a document that you can open in Microsoft Windows, Apple macOS or Linux. What format should you generate?
If you like my videos,
feel free to do nothing. Just grab a cup of coffee
and enjoy.
I'm writing a C++ program that generates an annual report to send to the Swedish Bolagsverket. The program parses an SEE file and generates a document output. My first document format choice is rich text file format. And I used Microsoft Word to generate it and then open it. So here is an RTF document. So it opens in Word, of course. And it also opens in Apple Pages and in Apple Text Edit. And further, I could also open it in Linux using LibreOffice. My second option is to generate HTML files. So I used actually Microsoft Word to generate an HTML file and open it here. And then I could show that it's possible to open this on Apple using TextEdit, but it's not possible on Apple to open it using Pages. That option is not available. And of course, on Linux, we have LibreOffice also able to open this HTML file. A tempting option is to generate Markdown documents. And I did that by simply taking my Markdown file from my GitHub project, the README file, and I open it in Microsoft Word and it accepts it, but it opens it as plain text, no formatting here. Also in Apple, I can open it in TextEdit, but it's plain text, no formatting. I can open it in Pages, again, plain text, no formatting. And finally, I can open it in LibreOffice on Linux, but again, it's plain text. Let's generate an RTF file from this annual report. So in the last video, we implemented this annual report representation. We created this annual report instance and filled it with one entry from the SEE file data. Then we dumped it to the console output. Now using brute force, we just implement a generate RTF file here. So we call this generate RTF file function. And I'm going to decide to provide the SEE file name here, or actually the whole path, so that the generated RTF file ends up at the same location as the SEE file. And of course, I then provide the annual report representation as a source. And why didn't that work? Like that. And now we implement this up here. So this is a void function. And this is a const reference to standard file system. And we used eastconst, of course, and the annual report is one of those. So stop doing that. Go away. What's the matter with you? Okay, so that parameter is an annual report. Still, stop bothering me. Okay, here we go. And this should now compile. Yes. So in here, we now want to have an actual RTF file path. And that one should be this path minus the extension. And I think the best way is to just take the parent path, use the operator defined by path to append, and I use something called the stem, which is the file name without the extension, and then we append RTF. Okay, so let's create an output stream. So we use an output file stream, RTF file, and we open it with this. So let's generate some simple RTF file output here. So I found this Wikipedia page here, and why not just take this example and see if we can decipher this. Used it as a template, so I'm going to copy it like that, and then I'm just going to dump it. So I'm going to first generate some logging here, so I know that I write this on a new line. So I'm going to generate that file. Like that. And I want to mark the end also. And then we dump this. Why not take all of this? I don't know. I think the RTF file doesn't care about new lines. I'm just going to do something like that. So that's a single line. Like that. And compile it. And we have, oh, yeah, we need to escape these. This is cumbersome. Oh. Maybe I should use the C++ raw text format. I think I will use C++ raw text format. No, let's do that later. So let's also stream the actual path here so that we have it in the debug output like that. So let's run it. We are at the correct place. We call it like that, and then we just, let's see what happens. So the path here is strange. This was not what we wanted. We wanted the file name. The file name is missing. So this stem here doesn't work, or what is it? What is it? No, it actually is. The stem is here, but then I want to add the extension, and I can't do that this way because then it's a new folder. Okay, maybe it's easier to use this replace extension instead. It's a little bit cumbersome, but it's more safe. So first I just do that, and then I modify it. It's not pretty, but should be like that then. Okay. Yes. That looks okay. Now question is, do I actually have an RTF file here then? Yes, I do. Let's do it like this. No friend of I don't know if you can see this. This NSI is not what we want. So we get some garbage in here. Ah, I forgot one. Okay, let's do it again. And now let's see what we have. Yeah, that looks all right. Okay, success. I don't like these escaping, so let's make this into a raw string. Then we can remove all this escaping of the backslashes. And see, I've even forgot some of them. So this will disable some errors here. Like that. So I need the parentheses, I need the R and the beginning parenthesis. So I want to create this table that is 4 rows and 5 columns. And I simply recreated this table by default in Word, and I did it in Apple Text Edit, and I did it in Linux LibreOffice. And the result is kind of depressing. So here we have the Word RTF raw file, and as you can see, it's it's really complicated. The Apple version is a little neater, seems a little shorter, so that's okay. And LibreOffice actually is the smallest one. For Visual Code, I found this extension, an RTF support, and using that one I can get some sense of these RTF files. So here's the Word version, and you can see it's highlighted in colors, the different parts. Here's the Apple RTF file using this RTF extension for Visual Code, and it still looks neat. And here's the Linux LibreOffice. Actually, it's a little bit misleading that this is the smallest one because the lines are really wide. So from this I now suspect that it's actually the Apple Text Edit version of the RTF file that is the neatest one. I'm going to use the Apple RTF format as a template for my document generation. So let's copy the Apple RTF here. There you go. Yeah. So we're going to divide this up into line constants just to do something about this. So we do we're going to do raw constant literals. Okay, this is cumbersome and error prone, so let's make an array instead. So we do a constant vector of string. We call it RTF template, and we use initializer list to initialize it, and then we can use it like this. Let's just check the syntax. Yep, that compiles. So let's start all over here. And and now we cut this up in lines. And now we can use a range for loop to use this template string array, or whatever we should call it. So let's try this. Let's remove that one. And we do for out const. Like that, and do this. Yep, and we can also do this. We enter a state here. Let's name it state. No. Naming is important. Let's call it index. And we're going to pick specific states. For now, we're just going to do that. The program now generates an invalid file if I try to open it, and I think I know the problem. The problem is that we have removed every new line character. So let's try to add a new line before each entry. See how that works. And now we should have a new file. And voila! Look at that! I have generated a hard-coded table. If I now edit the template, for example this post here, and save it, I can now open it in Visual Code and you would use diff and see what changes. So we can see that this line change seems to have something to do with, I don't know, some values have changed there. But most importantly, this cell here now has -1 in it. And that's the -1 I entered there. That's a clue. I will continue this coding in the next episode, because for now I need to figure out how to generate these table rows and table columns, and I'm not sure how to hard code this because the format here in the template is a little bit cumbersome. I was hoping I could just use search and replace, but it seems that not possible. It's almost like every cell begins with a CF2, but that's not completely sure. You can see one here, it doesn't, and yeah. So for this episode not to be too long, I'm going to cut it here, and I welcome you back to the next episode where I transform this template into an actual generated RTF file. Okay, thank you for watching and see you next time.
If you like my videos,
feel free to do nothing. Just grab a cup of coffee
and enjoy.